Hello, action recap here.
Today, I'm going to explain an action, comedy, and fantasy film called Pixels. In 1982, Sam Brenner invited his friend, Will Cooper, to come with him to the video arcade. There, Sam easily played Pac-Man and said there was a pattern to it. He also won every game he played, while Cooper successfully got a Chewbacca mask at the crane machine. Then, Cooper gave where they saw Ludlow Lamonsoff admiring a game character called Lady Lisa. Feeling bad for the kid, Sam invited Ludlow to hang out with them. Then, they watched Eddie the Fire Blaster plant enter the building, and the little guy insulted Sam and his friends.
They were in!
After that, the MC informed everyone that the competition would be recorded and the videotape would be placed in a space probe and launched by NASA into the solar system. Oddly, its purpose was to provide a message for extraterrestrial life should it exist. Once the competition began, everyone chose the games they liked to play. Eventually, Eddie became the Pac-Man champion, while Sam became the Centipede victor. However, since they were tied, they had to play Donkey Kong. Unfortunately, Sam got distracted when Eddie told him he wouldn't win by reading the game's patterns, causing him to lose in the end. In the present, Sam and Cooper reminisce about their childhood. Cooper is now the president of America, and he makes it clear he's having a hard time doing his job. Of course, Cooper has his fair share of haters, but he just tries to ignore them. Meanwhile, Sam is satisfied working as a software installer. Moments later, Sam goes to the house of a young boy, Matty, to install a new TV and his PlayStation 4. Matty then talks about his parents' divorce, but his mother, Violet, soon comes out and interrupts their conversation. Sam can't help but admire Violet's beauty and says senseless stuff to her, but the woman doesn't really mind and just lets him do his job. Once Sam is done, he informs Violet she needs to sign his work order. However, he finds Violet drinking and crying in the closet, so he joins her and tries to comfort her. Violet then shares that her husband is leaving her for a younger woman, making Sam talk about his personal problems too. Unfortunately, Violet gets upset when Sam tries to kiss her, and then she insults the guy in his profession. Offended, Sam calls Violet a snob before answering Cooper's call and leaving. In Guam, a military base gets attacked by aliens. Strangely, these aliens look like Galaga forces, and the soldiers fail to defend themselves. At the same time, one of the soldiers gets abducted, and all he can do is scream for his mother. Later on, Sam heads to the White House and comes across Violet on the road. He thinks the woman is following him and asks the guard to deal with her, but as it turns out, she is a lieutenant colonel. Then, once they're inside, Violet can't believe that Sam is there to talk to the president. In the Oval Office, Cooper informs Sam that their Air Force base in Guam was attacked before showing him the footage of the incident. Sam is surprised to see what ambushed the soldiers, but their conversation gets interrupted when Cooper's secretary calls him to the Situation Room. So, Cooper asks Sam to watch the footage again and see if he can find anything to help them out. In the Situation Room, everyone tells Cooper their theories as to who's responsible for the attack. But Cooper says it was Galaga's doing, and the White House junior aide tells the others what Galaga is. However, Violet points out that no nation on Earth has the military technology to simply pixelate entire buildings. Meanwhile, Sam joins the meeting and informs everyone that the Galaga that attacked the base is the 1982 arcade version. Of course, they find it hard to believe Sam, especially Admiral Porter. The Admiral then asks Cooper to send Sam away, but Sam makes fun of everyone first before he leaves. As Sam drives home, he doesn't realize that Ludlow is in the vehicle with him and hits him in the face. Unfortunately, Ludlow gets thrown out of the van and he quickly introduces himself to Sam when the guy tries to hit him with a bat. Ludlow then takes Sam to his house and reveals he knows about the attack, saying he believes that aliens found the tape from the Video Arcade Championships. At the same time, Ludlow adds that the aliens probably decided to send down real-life versions of what they saw to attack them. After that, Ludlow lets Sam watch the episode of One Tree Hill that he recorded, which was interrupted by aliens to give a message to humans in the form of former President Ronald Reagan and Madonna. The aliens say they received the people's vessel and their hostile challenge, stating they are ready to engage in a winner-take-all battle with humans. They also show the soldiers they've abducted, and then the aliens add that humans only have 2 lives left since they lost the first fight. As if that isn't bad enough, the next battle is in 15 hours, and they give the coordinates to where it'll take place. With no time to waste, Ludlow and Sam quickly show Cooper the footage and explain everything. Ludlow believes the next attack will happen in northern India and wants the president to ask for help from the NSA, but Cooper is reluctant to authorize a military response based on a video showing alien Madonna. Still, Sam asks Cooper to at least warn the people of India, but again, the president refuses. In northern India, the aliens attack the Taj Mahal and take another guy who's recording the incident on his phone. Meanwhile, Cooper finally decides to take action and wants his friends to share their video game expertise with Violet and her team. Although she's hesitant, Violet agrees and shows them one of the cubes they recovered in Guam, which can be destroyed using some supercharged light particles. At the same time, the Navy SEALs have already received instructions on using prototype weapons. They are led by Admiral Porter, who unenthusiastically lets Sam and Ludlow speak with the soldiers to boost their morale and teach them how to play the games. Then, while Cooper is in a bake shop with his wife, his secretary informs him that the next battle will happen at sundown the following day in London. To prepare for the invasion, Sam and Ludlow go with Corporal Hill while Cooper stays with the Prime Minister. Then, once the soldiers are in position, Sam tries telling Corporal Hill they should follow a 5+1 formation in case they have to fight space invaders. However, Corporal Hill refuses to listen, and seconds later, the aliens arrive in the form of Centipede. Before the battle begins, Sam reminds the soldiers to shoot each Centipede with their light cannons from the head down. He also tells the soldiers not to hit the Centipedes in the middle because they will only split into two. Unfortunately, the soldiers struggle to follow Sam's instructions, and one of them gets eaten by a centipede. Seeing that they're losing, Sam takes a light cannon from a soldier and shoots the centipede himself. Sam successfully kills all the centipedes, and then he asks Ludlow to help him in level 2. Cooper also gives an order to let the nerds take over, but as Sam and Ludlow shoot the centipedes, one escapes and wreaks havoc on the streets. So Sam goes after it as it enters a hotel, and he manages to kill the centipede from a balcony before it eats a kid. After the fight, Cooper celebrates with the soldiers and his friends. Then, the aliens send them another message and congratulate them for winning, and they give the humans one of their warriors as a trophy of victory. However, they point out that the next match will not be as easy, saying they're still leading 2 battles to 1. Because of that, Cooper asks his friends to get ready, and Sam is even forced to find his old nemesis to help them win. The next day, Sam, Cooper, and Violet visit Eddie in prison. Cooper says they'll reduce his sentence if he helps defeat the aliens, but the guy wants to get out of that place for good. Also, he demands to have an island and tells Cooper to set him up on a date with Serena Williams and Martha Stewart. With no other choice, Cooper says he'll see what he can do, and the Fire Blaster finally agrees to help them. Then, Violet receives a call and learns that the next battle is happening in the evening in New York. That night, the nerds prepare for battle and find out from a cop that they have to deal with Pac-Man. So Eddie asks for some little ghosts to kill Pac-Man, and Violet shows them the vehicles they will use. According to Violet, they use the energy force field technology from the cube to develop 4 mini generators for each of the cars. At the same time, she introduces the guys to Professor Toru Iwatani, the creator of Pac-Man. Moments later, Violet sends the nerds and Professor Iwatani Pac-Man's coordinates. Then, once they find Pac-Man, Professor Iwatani tries talking to it as if it's his son and touches it. Sadly, Pac-Man bites Professor Iwatani's hand and sends him running away, leaving the nerds with no choice but to fight without the professor. Sam, Ludlow, and Eddie go after Pac-Man as it destroys the city. They then decide to split up to outmaneuver Pac-Man, and Eddie uses a secret technique to move faster until he finally manages to hit the video game character. But despite that, they still have to defeat Pac-Man 2 more times. Once Pac-Man returns, it consumes a power pellet and gains 10 seconds to eat the nerds. The guys immediately drive away, but Ludlow is forced to jump out of his car as Pac-Man eats his vehicle. Then, Ludlow flees when Pac-Man starts chasing him, but Eddie shows up and destroys the big yellow creature. Meanwhile, Violet wonders how Eddie got over there so fast. For the last stage, Eddie eagerly pursues Pac-Man and ends up driving into the river. Now that Sam's the only one left, he makes sure to stay away from Pac-Man for 10 seconds when it eats a power pellet before letting the video game character take him. Then, everyone celebrates as Pac-Man gets destroyed, and the people receive Q*bert from the aliens as a trophy. After the battle, Admiral Porter gets pissed while watching Cooper talk to the press about their success. At the same time, Sam asks Violet to the ball, and to his surprise, the woman agrees. Everyone tries to have fun at the ball and forget that aliens are still trying to eradicate them, and Eddie even gets a date with Serena Williams. Of course, Sam can't help but smile when he sees Violet, but he reminds her he can only have half a beer since he's on call. Moments later, the aliens send another message and say the humans have violated the rules. Because of that, they decide to destroy the Earth in 12 hours, leaving everyone in a panic. As everyone tries to flee, Maddie talks to Eddie and shows him his glasses, which were fished out of the East River by a cop the night he fell in. Maddie says he immediately saw the Pac-Man cheat code for super speed on the lens, and then he accuses Eddie of being a cheater. So Eddie admits what he did and even reveals he used those codes back in the day to win, adding that's how he beat Sam at the World Championships. Inside, Admiral Porter scolds Sam for what happened and insults him for not accomplishing anything in his life. Then, the aliens arrive sooner than expected, and Violet fails to do anything when they abduct Maddie. With their time running out, Violet and the guys discuss what they should do, and they ask Q*bert for any information about the aliens that can help them win. However, Q*bert only says it's too late, for the aliens' mothership is creating millions of video game warriors to destroy the Earth. When the mothership arrives, it releases all of its video game fighters to annihilate the human race. Then, Sam and his group prepare to fight and get inside the mothership, and they are soon joined by Cooper, who saves them from an alien frog using a crane. After that, they immediately take the remaining light cannons to fight the aliens, and Violet even kills a Smurf. As Ludlow saves some children from a group of ninjas, he comes across an alien in the form of Lady Lisa. Ludlow can't help but admire Lady Lisa and expresses how happy he is to see her, but the warrior doesn't feel the same and tries to kill him. However, Ludlow refuses to fight Lady Lisa and shows her he loves her, making her change her mind. Then, they finally kiss, and Eddie returns to fight without cheating. Meanwhile, an alien talks to Sam and his group and says his boss wants to meet them. Once they're inside the mothership, Sam realizes they're supposed to play Donkey Kong to save the prisoners. Unfortunately, it's the only game Sam is not good at, but that doesn't stop his friends from playing and instructing his friends on what to do. Moments later, Sam says he can't play Donkey Kong because there's no pattern. However, Maddie advises him to simply pretend he's the guy who doesn't want to die. Then, Maddie reveals that Eddie cheated during their match to make Sam see that he's the real Donkey Kong champion of the world. Because of that, Sam becomes energized and starts smashing barrels using a hammer. In the streets, the nerds and Lady Lisa get cornered, and Eddie can only hope that Sam will succeed in whatever it is he's doing. Luckily, Sam finally defeats Donkey Kong with a hammer, and it isn't long before the other video game characters get destroyed too. Sadly, Lady Lisa also has to go, causing Ludlow great pain. After the battle, Eddie apologizes to Sam for cheating on him when they were kids, and admits he's the best at Donkey Kong. Meanwhile, Ludlow can't help but feel sad that Q*bert gets to stay on Earth while he had to watch Lady Lisa go. Fortunately, Q*bert turns into Lady Lisa, and Ludlow's sorrows quickly disappear. At the same time, Cooper thanks the nerds or arcaders for saving their planet, including Violet. Sam and Violet finally kiss, and Eddie receives a text message from Serena Williams, asking him to meet her and Martha Stewart in the Lincoln bedroom. Then Professor Iwatani gets his hand back when the aliens eventually leave. 1 year later, Ludlow and Lady Lisa get married, and they have kids that look exactly like Q*bert.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this.